What is up, everybody? I am your host, Josh from Kayfabe Central, and welcome back to another podcast episode on the channel and another episode of Predict the Bell, where we go over pay per view predictions for any upcoming pay per views. And in this case, we did our stand and deliver ones already. And today we are doing the WrestleMania pay per view card or PLE card. I just put pay per view on everything, because that's just what I'm accustomed to. I still call it pay per views. Only in like certain cases will I write PLE, but most of the time I just write pay per view because that's just how I am. But tomato tomato. I was supposed to do this last night, but I had just so much going on, and after because last night it was Collision, which was an okay show. Um, I am going to do the headlines of the week, which I'll talk a little bit more about Collision on there. I'm gonna do that like right after I get this podcast up, and if I sound stuffy, it's because I just sneezed like 4 times in a row, and I've had the sniffles all morning. So I apologize for that, but yeah, we did our stand and deliver predictions already, and we're going to be doing our WrestleMania ones now. And I wanted to get this out sooner, but like I said, so many things got in the way. But we're gonna get this out to you guys before SmackDown tonight, and I'm going to try to get that headlines of the week podcast out to you guys before SmackDown as well. So a lot of work to do to cram into um like 5 hours here. So I should be able to get it done. Usually, I think that these podcasts are going to take me a long time, and I end up just breezing through them in like 20 to 30 minutes. So, not sure if this is going to be the case because there is, um, I believe, 13 confirmed matches for WrestleMania, and that's not including one that may be also added to this show, which I will get into a little bit later. Um, So let's just get straight into it. I'm very stuffy right now, and it couldn't have happened at a worse time. But so night one, the lineup for night one is Jade Cargill versus Naomi, the World Tag Team Championship match between the War Raiders and the New Day, El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio, singles match for the U.S. title, LA Knight Jacob Fatu, Gunther versus Jey Uso, Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, and then the triple threat main event between Punk, Reigns, and Rollins. So let's start off with Jade Cargill versus Naomi here. Um, I don't think that there's any chance in hell that Jade Cargill loses here. I think Jade Cargill just wins, and I still am under the thought process that this doesn't belong on the WrestleMania card. I don't think that this is a WrestleMania style feud. I think this could have just been done on SmackDown, and you could have put something else here instead. But it's on the card, and the story has been decent, and they have been trying to really build this as a WrestleMania feud, but I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen the vision that WWE sees. Um, I would have much rather Jade Cargill be like competing for the Women's United States title against Chelsea Green, who is not on the card at all, which is pretty disappointing. And that really sucks that she's not on the card after the year she's had and the run that she's had with the Women's U.S. title. So, all right, I had to pause it for a second because my nose is really running. Um, but yeah, I don't think this belongs on the WrestleMania card, and I think that Jade Cargill is just gonna walk away with the win. I don't see why Naomi would win or why she should win, and I don't think she is going to win. So that's all that there is for that match. We have the World Tag Team Championship match: the War Raiders, Erik and Ivar, versus the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. This is another match that should not have been on the WrestleMania card, and I love the New Day, and I think the War Raiders are really cool, but the fact that you have this, that they spent only 2 weeks building this up, and you could have built this up for months, but they decided in the last 2 weeks, oh crap, we forgot about the Raw tag division. So let's just put these two teams together and, hope for the best. So I don't think that this belongs to the Mania card either, especially when you have the SmackDown tag division that does belong on the Mania card that is not on the Mania card, because those guys have been working hard, and I think they deserve that spotlight, like the Motor City Machine Guns, the Street Profits. I think it should have been a match between Motor City, Street Profits, Pretty Deadly, and DIY. Los Garza has never really been a big part of the storyline, so I didn't see them being a part of it. And Mello Don't Miz is really new, so I didn't think they would be a part of it. But they should have had those teams on this card, and it's really disappointing that they're not. And then they have a 2 week old feud between the New Day and the War Raiders on this card. I find that extremely disappointing. Um, I'm going with the New Day to win the titles here. I said that they were going to win the titles a few weeks back. So, but I thought that was just going to be on like the Raw before Mania, but we're apparently doing this on night one of Mania. So I'm going with the New Day to win that match. El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio. Again, another match that does not belong on the WrestleMania card. This could have just been a Monday Night Raw match, and that they don't even have a stipulation for this. It's not even a mask versus mask match. Sorry, there's a lot of M's. It's just a regular match between El Grande Americano, aka Chad Gable, against Rey Mysterio. And I think it's cool that Chad Gable is getting to be on the WrestleMania card. I love that for him. And he's facing Rey Mysterio, and if they go with having an actual good match, then this could be really a really fun match, and maybe even a sleeper for the weekend. But if they just go with like something quick where Chad Gable cheats, probably to putting that like metal plate in his mask that he's been doing for like the last 2 weeks. Um, I'm assuming that's how he wins, because I think Chad Gable wins this and we continue this feud, and it leads to a mask versus mask match either on the Raw after Mania or at Backlash or something like that, which is where we'll get the reveal of El Grande Americano being Chad Gable, and yeah, that story will just dissolve. But yeah, this match shouldn't be on WrestleMania, and if they really wanted to, they should have just made this a mask versus mask match, because this story hasn't been exactly interesting either for me to say like, okay, I'm cool with this continuing after WrestleMania. WrestleMania should be the end all be all, honestly. And I'm not like could be some feuds that like you can continue after WrestleMania. Like I'm not saying that it should always be the end of a feud, but more often than not, that should be the case. You should build up rivalries a, a lot to culminate to a WrestleMania match, because look, if I'm WWE, I am planning WrestleMania from like SummerSlam. That's when I would start planning WrestleMania. And WWE does this thing a lot, and especially recently where they book themselves into a corner, and it seems like they've just been, and I'll touch on this a little more later on, but it seems like they tried to book this WrestleMania revolving around The Rock, who is not going to show up anymore and who hasn't showed up since the Elimination Chamber. And now that he's not appearing, they booked themselves into a complete corner where we have matches like El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio happening, and there's just yeah, it's just a mess, and WWE does this a lot. So, like I said, I'm going with Chad Gable to win this match, and they continue this feud after. Um, we have a singles match for the United States Championship. LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. I think Jacob Fatu has to walk away with the title here. And let me just take this slot to say it is criminal, absolutely criminal, that Solo Sikoa is not in the WrestleMania card. And another thing I'll touch on later, he might face Randy Orton, but I don't want that to happen. I know at the same time I'm saying that Solo should be on the Mania card, but they should have just continued the thing with him and Fatu because excuse me, because they had this thing where there was tension within the bloodline between him, Tonga, and Solo. And I thought the route that they were taking was Solo versus Fatu at Mania, and then I thought it was going to be okay, maybe Solo, Fatu, and Knight, and maybe even Braun Strowman for the U.S. title. But no, they're just going the route of Fatu versus Knight, in which I think Fatu wins the title here, and maybe they continue this feud with him and Solo after with the title. And I think that would be the best option. I still think that Solo should have been thrown into this match to in some capacity, and rather than not just accompanying someone or being a manager and being at ringside for somebody like he has for like the past 3 years. So um yeah, that's my take on that. I think Solo should be involved in WrestleMania and not face Randy Orton, but they could have found something for him. And again, this is what happens when you book yourself into a corner by thinking you're going to get The Rock at WrestleMania when he's not fully committed. He's not going to show up. And we haven't seen him since the Chamber. So that is on WWE. But either way, I think Fatu walks out with the title. Um, we have I was going to save this one for last, but then I realized what else we have on night one. So we have the singles match for the World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther versus Jey Uso. Now this feud has been okay. They spent weeks doing shit all, honestly, for this feud, and it just felt dry. I think the involvement of Jimmy Uso helped it a little bit, but look, I love Jey Uso, and I think he is going to win the title here, but there's something about this feud that it's just like we saw this match. We saw this match at Saturday night's main event, and we saw this match before. This doesn't stand out to me. This doesn't say, "Oh my goodness, that this is cool," and it's not the underdog story. It's not the Daniel Bryan yes movement. It's not the Kofi mania that WWE is trying to perceive it as, and they are trying to do that with minimal effort. And I think Jey Uso will get his moment, and the crowd will go absolutely nuts when Jey Uso wins. Um, is there a chance that Gunther retains? Absolutely, there is a chance. There is a chance to go that route. WWE loves Gunther, and I think there's a small chance that they can be like, you know what, we're gonna have Gunther retain. We're gonna have Gunther absolutely destroy Jey Uso. Jey Uso with a few hope spots, but then Gunther ultimately retains. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I think Jey Uso does walk out with the World Heavyweight title. It's just I don't think the match is going to be the greatest either. It's definitely going to be better than the next match I'm going to talk about in a second here, but yeah, this feud has just not felt good to me. And I think this match kicks off the night on night one. I don't see any other match that should kick off night one. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is gonna kick it. Like they wouldn't kick it off with like El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio. So yeah, this match definitely kicks off night one, but it's definitely going to be a better match than Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Championship. This feud, excuse me, jeez. Um, this feud has been a mess, and Charlotte Flair just looks disinterested. She doesn't look motivated. She doesn't look like she wants to be here. And that has not helped this feud at all. We've had some really shitty, two screen interviews. We had a very messy segment where Tiffany Stratton brought up Charlotte's marriage stuff, which is honestly the only point in where this feud kind of picked up a little bit. But I don't think the match is going to be all that great either. I think that this is the way that Charlotte Flair has been looking unmotivated to even be here. I think that this match is not going to deliver. It's going to be good at best. Um, it's not going to be the 5-star classic that everybody hoped Tiffany Stratton for Charlotte Flair would be. I don't see that happening. I think Charlotte Flair walks away with a title here because I think they want to get her to that number 16 and probably even 17, and God forbid she gets to 18 or 19. But um I'm not liking Charlotte Flair. I haven't liked Charlotte Flair for a little while now, and she and God forbid she hears this because um Charlotte Flair apparently can't take criticism. But that's beside the point. Um, I think Charlotte walks away with a title here, and I honestly think the part of the reason I think that this is not going to be a good match, and the reason I said Charlotte Flair can't take criticism is because the way she reacted, how the crowd reacted to her on SmackDown with that segment with her and Stratton, where she got booed out the building, she got told to shut the f up, and she was baffled, and she gets too in her head about what the crowd thinks about her. And her promos are repetitive, and a Charlotte Flair title reign is just going to be dreadful, and hopefully it's not going to be a long title reign. I hope this is just a few month title reign, and you know, like she probably takes a break again after she loses the title because it seems like she enjoys her time away from the ring more than she enjoys her time in the ring. So Tiffany drops the title here. I think that they turn Tiffany full heel after, maybe, because I think the goal here was to have Charlotte Flair as the babyface. But Charlotte Flair came back and just said the same exact things that she always does. So that didn't work. It doesn't work. You can't try to change your character but say the exact same things you always do. And then Tiffany Stratton got over and the crowd was behind her, so naturally she was the babyface. Charlotte Flair was made the heel, so they went that direction. But I think after Charlotte Flair wins here at WrestleMania, they're slowly going to turn Tiffany back heel. She'll probably still be over, but yeah, this feud is a whole mess. I'm not excited for this match at all. And there was once upon a time where I thought, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair would be a great match. And now that we're here, I am not looking forward to it. And I was completely wrong. So, um, yeah, that's all I really have to say about that match. Charlotte Flair walks away with the title. Then we have the triple threat match that is closing out night one. CM Punk versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Now, there's nothing really at stake here other than like Paul Heyman's heart, I guess. There's no title on the line or anything, but this makes sense why it's the main event. You have three huge names in CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. I think the build up for this feud has been great. I think the segments that they have been great, and I've been really entertained by them. This is one of the better built feuds for WrestleMania, and kudos to the three guys. These three are all very talented in the ring and, on the microphone and, really building up a WrestleMania style match. All of these guys are really good at doing that. So I got to give props to them and props to WWE for making that build, for making this build feel meaningful. And I think that I'm leaning more towards CM Punk winning this match. I don't think Roman Reigns wins this match. I don't see what it would do if Roman Reigns won this match. I don't even think he's going to be involved in the pinfall. I think it's either going to be Punk pinning Rollins or Rollins pinning Punk. And I think if Punk wins, it's going to end, or it should end, with Paul Heyman fully aligning with CM Punk. There's got to be something that happens here at the end of the match there's got to be something that is very appealing. I mean, this is closing out night one. There's got to be some switch in the storyline. I don't think that Paul Heyman should align with Seth Rollins like some people are saying that might happen. I don't see the direction for that. I don't see the point in going that route. I think the logical route here would be for CM Punk to win and to align with Paul Heyman full time. Roman probably takes time off. I honestly would have rather this be Seth Rollins versus CM Punk at a WrestleMania and Roman Reigns be doing something else. Maybe if they could have gotten The Rock and they could do that match finally. I would have rather that, but I'm not complaining about this match. I think this match is going to be good. And there's going to be, not only is the wrestling itself going to be good, but we have the storytelling aspect of it as well, which I think is going to be a great closer for night one. But I am leaning towards CM Punk winning this match. Now, before I get into night two, so the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal has been announced for SmackDown tonight. We have no idea who's in it. There's been no confirmed entries for it. There's a few people I can see winning it. I still feel like the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal should be on the WrestleMania pre-show, especially because we have a 3-hour pre-show of just talking. So that's yeah, I don't understand that, which is completely insane. 3-hour pre-show, but there's that, and I'm honestly thinking that Ray Phoenix wins the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. There's a few other names that I came up with, like Sheamus. If he's cleared, he could win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and have like the Bobby Lashley moment that Lashley had. I think it was at WrestleMania 39. Um, they could do that. They could have Omos come back and win it. I don't think he's going to be in it at all. But I mean, it is possible that they bring Omos back for it. They could have Braun Strowman win it and maybe be the first 2-time Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner. Um, who else could they could have Ludwig Kaiser win this because Ludwig Kaiser for the past couple of weeks has been saying how he plans to make an impact on WrestleMania weekend and things like that. I don't see Miro or Aleister Black coming back for this because if they have the entrances, because with Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, they only do entrances for a select few superstars. A lot of the time, most of the superstars are already in the ring. So if we have a return for Aleister Black or Miro, it's going to be confirmed that they're winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. If they don't get an entrance, it kind of just ruins their return. So I don't think that they should return in this capacity. So I think that Ray Phoenix could win this. I see that happening. Randy Orton doesn't have a WrestleMania opponent as of yet. We should be getting some intel on that tonight on SmackDown. But he is currently without a WrestleMania opponent. And I think the best option is Nick Aldis. And I was thinking that they might not go that route because of what happened on SmackDown and Solo Sikoa interrupting. It should not be Solo Sikoa. I'm gonna say that it should not be Solo Sikoa winning, going against Randy Orton at WrestleMania. And I think that this could lead to a open challenge type thing if it's not Nick Aldis and it ends up being Aleister Black. If this happens to be a like WrestleMania open challenge and Solo Sikoa enters, I'm just going to be absolutely livid. This is bullshit. But yeah, I think he could do like an open challenge match, open challenge thing where Aleister Black or even Miro returns and accepts the challenge, and we have that. He has to have a match at WrestleMania. Randy Orton needs a match at WrestleMania, especially because he's going to be in the world title main event next month at Backlash. So this guy needs a WrestleMania match and a WrestleMania win before that happens. Um, I wouldn't be content if he even did like a segment. I think he needs a match. So the best options for that I'm going with is either Nick Aldis or Aleister Black, and obviously Randy Orton brought up Mickey James towards Nick Aldis last week on SmackDown, so they could be still setting that up. Um, and maybe Randy Orton issues the open challenge, and Nick Aldis comes out and says, "Well, no, Randy, you can't do that. You can't just book yourself a WrestleMania match." And then Nick Aldis was like, you know what? I'll accept your open challenge. Let's do this right now." I don't know, maybe he rips the suit off and he has his gear underneath or something. Um, I think that would be pretty cool. I think Nick Aldis is the best option for that. Um, so into night two, AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. This is pretty straightforward. This could kick off the night on night two. It's definitely possible. I think it could be this or the four-way IC title match, which we'll get into in a little bit. But this is really straightforward. Logan Paul is a media attraction, and AJ Styles is a veteran in the business and can perform great matches, and he's still a great in-ring wrestler. And that's all that there is to this. That these two are going to deliver in the ring, and I think it ends with Logan Paul winning. I think AJ Styles is just here to put on a good match and give Logan Paul the win, get Logan Paul that heat, and give the WWE that media attention. So there's nothing else more to talk about on that. I think Logan Paul wins that. We have a Sin City street fight between Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. I still feel like they could have found something better for these two for WrestleMania, especially because this is rehashing what happened last year at WrestleMania where Priest cashed in, and then they had a feud after that even. So we're just back to that. I do like the stipulation of the street fight. Street fights are always fun and pretty violent, especially with these two. The feud that they've been having the past couple of weeks have gotten pretty violent. So this should be a good match. Honestly, I think this could be a sleeper for the weekend as well. So yeah, this match should be good. They're both great wrestlers and they both know what they're doing, and they're honestly trying their best what they were given, and they should have been given a lot more, but this is what they were given, and they are trying their best to work with it. So I think Damian Priest walks out with the win unless Cena wins against Cody, which I think will happen, and Jey Uso gets moved to SmackDown. If that's the case, I think Drew McIntyre wins this match, and Jey Uso's first feud for the world title is Drew McIntyre. I think that they could go that route as well. So this could go either way. Um, I still think it's just going to be Damian Priest winning, because most of the time it's the babyface going over at WrestleMania. That's how it is a lot of the time. So I think that this could just be the case. The women's tag team championship match: Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. I have expressed my opinions on this match decision a few times already, and I'm going to express it again. Another match that should not be on this card. They could have done so much better. I think Liv Morgan should be having a singles match at WrestleMania. I think that Lyra Valkyria should be defending the Women's Intercontinental Championship at a WrestleMania, probably against Liv Morgan and probably against Bayley as well. They could have gone that route. Um, but they didn't. They decided to go with this route. And up until like 2 days ago when I did the Stand and Deliver podcast, I was thinking that Liv Morgan and Raquel just retain, and it's simple as that. But now that they added this I think four-way tag match on Stand and Deliver pre-show, for the number one contenders to determine the number one contenders for the women's tag team titles. This could go either way. I think that I'm still leaning towards Liv and Raquel retaining, and then they beat a team like the Meta Girls or Gigi and Tatum. If Bayley and Lyra win, I can see them going up against Cora and Roxanne and quickly dropping the titles to them, and that would be finally their main roster call up type thing. And but I'm still going to lean towards Liv and Raquel. This could just lead to um main roster talent being the on NXT, just to get a ratings boost for NXT. And Bayley and Lyra can continue their IC title feud, which is the route that I was thinking that they're gonna go. Um, the fatal four-way match for the Intercontinental Championship between Bron Breakker, Penta, Dominik Mysterio, and Finn Balor. I think Dominik Mysterio. I think the right option is Dominik Mysterio to win this match, and I think that would be a very compelling win. It would be very cool to see that. Um, there is a good chance Penta wins this, and I would be okay with that too. I think Penta's really good in the ring. I think that Penta's just cool overall, man. So I would be happy if he won the IC title, but I think the right option here would be Dominik Mysterio. I don't at all think it should be Finn Balor. It should not be Finn Balor. I think if they put the title on him, it just wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be a good run. Um, is it possible? Sure, but I don't think that they should. Um, no way that Braun Breaker is retaining here, though. I think that his time with the IC title has come up, and he should be slowly moved into the world title picture after this. I think he's had a good run with the IC title, and it's time for him to move on up. So I don't think there's a chance that he retains here. It's either going to be Penta or Dom. Like I said, it should not be Finn Balor, but I'm going to for Dominik Mysterio to win this. Um, we have the triple threat match for the Women's World Championship between Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. This feud is just all over the place. What is going on? Because so first we have Bianca Belair who's getting booed, and the heel initially seemed like it was supposed to be Rhea Ripley, which makes sense. She, just weaseled herself into the triple threat match. Um, I don't know who the heel is supposed to be. It's not Io Sky. Io Sky is the most babyface there is. I think that after this, they should turn Bianca heel. I'm leaning towards Bianca Belair winning this match, and they should turn her heel after. Even if that wasn't the game plan initially, with the crowd reaction she's getting, they should turn her heel. I think Rhea Ripley right now is just like a tweener kind of thing. So, but I'm leaning towards Bianca Belair winning this. It could go either way between Bianca and Rhea, but if Rhea wins, like we're just back to back to the start where we started, and there's nothing really compelling about that. There's nothing really compelling about Bianca winning either. I don't know where they go with that, and they could just go with Io retaining. They honestly could go with Io retaining this because she's been, I guess, the outcast with Bianca and Rhea shoving her face week after week and just kind of ignoring her. So it is possible that Io Sky retains, but I think that Bianca Belair walks out with the Women's World Championship here. Um, and move Rhea Ripley to SmackDown. I think that you should move her to SmackDown, give her a fresh start, give her some fresh feuds. I think that would be really good for her. But I'm going to lean towards Bianca Belair, but I'm not 100% confident in that answer. Then we have the undisputed WWE Championship match between Cody Rhodes and John Cena. The main event of night 2. This feud, the build-up has been good. I think that the heel turn saved this. I think if it was just a babyface versus babyface feud between these two, it would just be dry. So turning John Cena heel really helped this feud, and the promos have been good. The segments have been good, and I've really enjoyed the interaction that they've had. I've enjoyed the promos that John Cena has done, and I think John Cena wins his 17th World Championship here. Cody Rhodes should not win. If this is a thing where Cody Rhodes, wins and he's like, oh, I beat the odds, that was last year. This year is John Cena's moment, and I think he wins that 17th world title. And it sets it up perfectly, honestly, for next month at Backlash, where it's in St. Louis. Randy Orton is on the poster. He's going to be in the main event. It is perfect to set up John Cena versus Randy Orton for the Undisputed Championship because of the history there. It would be cool to see Randy and Cena again. So I think that's the route that they go. I that's the route that they should go. If Cody retains, I am not going to be happy because there's no reason for him to need to retain here. And yeah, I think John Cena eventually is going to turn babyface again before the end of the year, but it will be pretty cool to see a heel John Cena title run. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But I definitely think John Cena wins here. Um, so yeah, this podcast was definitely longer than most, but we had like a lot of things to get into and a lot of opinions here. So overall, I'm not extremely excited for WrestleMania. It doesn't even feel like WrestleMania is tomorrow. I don't know if that's just because I've been going through things personally and like the vibe just isn't there. But I feel like overall, it doesn't feel like WrestleMania week. It doesn't feel like tomorrow I have to wake up and early and turn on Stand and Deliver at 12 o'clock for the pre-show and then watch it at 1 o'clock and then WrestleMania is after. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like it doesn't even feel like a Friday. It feels like a Thursday. But that might just be me. Um I'm not thrilled about this WrestleMania card. They could have done so much better, and I think it's the fact that they tried to book this around the fact that they thought Rock was going to show up at WrestleMania, and he didn't. And he didn't fully commit to that, and they booked themselves into corners here for this card, for most of this card. And it really does suck that there's some matches on this card that would just be better off on Monday Night Raw, but WWE has a history of doing matches like that. But I feel like this year it's more than they've done before. Previous years, we've had some big marquee matches and just a couple matches that were like, okay, this would have been better off on Raw. This year, though, there's a lot of matches, in my opinion, that would have been better on television than WrestleMania. This is your biggest show of the year. This is the show where, like, people are messaging me that I didn't even know watch wrestling, and I think don't, but they're watching it because it's a WrestleMania, and we have El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio on this card. So not too excited about WrestleMania this year, but it's still WrestleMania after all. And maybe the vibe will kick in once WrestleMania starts. Maybe I'll get that again. But yeah, that's going to wrap up this WrestleMania predictions podcast. If you listened all the way, you're a real one, and I appreciate you so much. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment, and hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the podcasts and interviews we have coming up. And speaking of interviews, make sure you go check out that Alexia Nicole interview that I did. If you haven't already, we had a great conversation. She's a really cool person, and I suggest you go and check out that interview. You can learn a lot about Alexia Nicole in that interview and people she's worked with, like Masha Slamovich and things of that nature. So, um, yeah, got the self promo out of the way, and I'm starting to lose my voice now, but I have to do the headlines of the week podcast next. So I will see you guys very soon, and the post show for Stand and Deliver is probably going to be very rushed. I might just do a live stream for that. Because it's supposed to end at the latest 30:45, but then the WrestleMania pre-show starts at 4 o'clock, and so yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I'm going to try my best, but yeah, that might just be very rushed. So yeah, so stay tuned for the headlines of the week, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.